Now let's hop over to Character Animator, and this is a puppet that I co-created with my daughter. It is meant for her own YouTube channel, and I'm going to create a composition that's roughly regular HD sized 1080 by 1920 pixels. I'm going to shrink her puppet down into it. Now I'll import my foreground and background. Drop the background behind her. And I'm going to change the scale slightly so it fits the scene a lot better. If you need to pan your background, you definitely can do that with the X and Y positions. If you had a background that you wanted to have travel behind your character, there are ways to do it in Character Animator, but the simpler way would be to use Adobe After Effects. So I will have something like that in my Advanced Character Animator course, but for our sakes, we are going to focus on just having an interesting background for our character to walk across. Now, when I use the walk function, she's not going anywhere. That's because I need to actually give her body speed. Speed is set to 0 by default, but if you want your character to actually move side to side, you need to alter the body speed, and something that looks normal be around 50%, 75%. A character who moves at 100% moves pretty quickly. I dropped my foreground layer on top of my character, so if she walks in front of or behind these objects, they're going to stay and she's not going to cover them up. Now I want to add behaviors to the elements of my background. So I head over to Rig mode. I highlight the 3 things that I want to have some motion, and I think I'm going to add breathe to them because breathe makes things grow and shrink, and I've done this before in the background elements. It kind of reminds me of a 1930s cartoon. In this case, I'm adding the same breathing to all 3 elements. So after I have tagged the 2 clouds and the sun breathe, I'm adding the behavior of breathing, and I'm going to set it to be not a huge scale difference. The default in breathe is 150%. I usually cut that down to something like 110. In the case of human beings, more like 102% difference. But as you can see, the clouds are inhaling and exhaling. Very similar to how inanimate objects in the old 1930s cartoons puffed in and out. I've widened my composition a little bit wider than 1920. This is to give my character more space to walk. And I think if I wanted to present a video on YouTube that was a standard 1920 by 1080, that's no problem. I just throw this into After Effects and set the composition to be 1920 by 1080. Or Adobe Premiere, you can alter the sequence settings and it'll trim the edges of your final composition.